Anisha Bing. I'm the founder of heragenda.com. And for those that don't know, Her Agenda is a website built on the motto of no one ever slows her agenda. And essentially what that means is if you have a goal, go for it and don't let anyone or anything stop you. And to do that, we inspire you and inform you. We inspire you through the stories of real women, like the women we have here tonight, who are succeeding in their careers and who embody the motto, they don't let anything or anyone slow their agenda, and they make it happen. And we also inform you through a database of resources that we have on the site. So panels, networking events like this, conferences, grant opportunities, and internships. We have all of that on the site for you to discover. And on today's agenda is essentially, how do we figure out how to make a creative career happen for ourselves? And to help me with that conversation, I have three amazing women. Danielle Arps, who is the go-to interior designer for startups in New York City. She designed the offices of Fashionista, Venmo, Code Academy, and General Assembly, just to name a few. And she's been featured on Her Agenda before, so if you just check out the Power Agenda section, find her name, and you can read all about her. We also have Sophia Chang, who is a designer illustrator from Queens, New York. And some of her clients range from the NBA to Nike to Marc Jacobs. And we have Leah McSweeney, founder of Married to the Mob, founder and CEO of Married to the Mob. The first streetwear line launched by a woman, and honestly, I have to say, I didn't say this to you before, but I discovered Married to the Mob in high school, and I had the Men Are the New Women t-shirt, and I wore it like every week, and people would stop me in the hallway like, wait, what is that? It says bitches on your t-shirt? And I'm like, yes, men are the new women, and I had to explain it so many times to people, so I'm so happy that you could be here with us today. So now that I'm done being a fan, let's just jump into the discussion, which is why you guys are all here. So my first question is, have any of you had a 9-to-5 job, a traditional 9-to-5 job, and when did you know that that wasn't for you?
I mean, interior design is never like necessarily 9 to 5. It's like 9 to whenever you're finished with the project. So I had that, and after being there until 4 in the morning one morning, realizing that this is not what I wanted to do, like it wasn't making me happy, but it also was making me sad because interior design is something I love. So the fact that I was there not loving it at 4 in the morning, doing something for someone else that I didn't necessarily believe in, that's when I realized I have to figure out how I can do this for myself on my own.
My parents really wanted me to get a full-time job when I got out of college. The salary and benefits and whatever. And so I decided to try it out. I got like a random job off of Craigslist. It was full-time. I was probably making like, I don't know, $23,000 a year or something. And I was there and, I worked really hard, did a lot of internships when I was in college. And I was there for about like 5 to 6 months. And then one day I woke up and I realized how much I hated going to work. Like hated it. And I realized I know I'm worth much more. I worked really hard, and I was confident of my own talents, and I just realized I have to leave and figure it out and just go into the unknown without any actual agenda, but confidence, really.
Thank you. When you said 9 to 5, I remembered like some really weird jobs I had in high school, like working at TJ Maxx. Like working for a car insurance company and, I don't know, just doing random stuff. I mean, I was super young. It was high school. But you know what? I'm not good at, it's not the 9 to 5 thing that I'm not good at. It's like the authority thing,
so
right?
When did you know that you weren't going to be working for somebody else, that you were going to start your own thing, that you had your own vision?
Yeah, I knew that pretty young because, I think I didn't go to college, but I interned a lot. And I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew that, and actually my first fashion job was at Mass Appeal. I was assisting the fashion editor. And that really didn't last that long either, because then my friend was like, come to Europe with me, I'll pay for your ticket. And I was like, I'm there, and that was my first time. So I had to tell the woman, listen, this is great. can you rehire me back? But I gotta go. Like, I've never been to Europe before, and I'm gonna get to go to Paris and stuff. And so I went, and whatever, I didn't get rehired. But I think I knew like it wasn't gonna work. I mean, I tried working at like friends' stores, retail, the Guest store, A-Life. I mean, my own boyfriend fired me. So, I can't, like, I gotta do my own thing.
Yeah. And Sophia, you said you were working before, and then you were like, I can't do this. So what was the first step that you took to actually launch out on your own?
Well, when I was in college, I interned at a lot of different places, and I had a lot of projects and names and people that I had worked with under my belt. And I literally just took this job because I felt like it was the right thing to do, and my parents were like really forcing me into it, and obviously I wanted to, I don't know, make them proud or something. And then I just realized I hated it, and then so like I quit, and then I was like, all right, cool, let me figure out what I'm gonna do. I'm in this city full of opportunities. I know a bunch of people, so started it out with me hitting people up, but my most important thing that I was focused on was not standing still and not being idle. So sending out 100 emails a day, hoping that one person will email me back. Went back to Craigslist, looked at the art media jobs, scrolled through that every day, checked like 10 pages deep, emailing people nonstop, and at least going to bed every night knowing that I wasn't just sitting on my ass waiting for someone to hit me up. Yeah. And then, through referrals and stuff like that, and people seeing my site and seeing the work and brands that I've worked with in the past definitely helped out. Yeah.
Each of you are pretty established at this point, and so along with being creative, there's administrative things that you have to deal with. So how do you keep the administrative side of what you do from overriding the creativity and the creative side? Let's let Leah go, because she made a space.
Sorry. No, it's funny that you're asking that, because I'm dealing with this right now, and I mean I have been, but since Mary Samov has grown a lot, like in the last couple years, and with that, a lot of my like the space in my brain to do the creative stuff now is like me dealing with like more employees and like cash flow and like my bookkeeper and the accounting, and then dealing with the factor and the banks, and it's like, wait, I'm supposed to be creative? Like, how am I supposed to be creative when I'm thinking about all this other stuff? So that's like kind of what I'm dealing with right now at this moment. I complain about it all the time, actually. I'm like, how am I supposed?
How are you dealing with it?
Like, we're just working a lot, just trying to be grateful. Like, when I catch myself complaining, being like, all right, stop, these are good problems to have, And, I mean, I'm obviously like constantly looking for, it's like a puzzle. I'm constantly trying to put the pieces together, like, well, maybe I've got to like, find an operating partner that does the shipping, fulfillment, invoicing stuff, so I don't have to like be on top of other people about that, and I can like focus on more creative stuff. Because having a clothing brand, it's a lot more than just being creative. A lot more.
I'm kind of in the same boat where I've been like absorbing all of the like the invoicing. It just kind of drives me insane. So I actually went to like a work help like seminar. I know it's ridiculous sounding, but they're like, the first thing you should do is an administrative hire, because I'm at that point now where I'm like juggling like 5 to 7 projects, and it's kind of like more or less on my own, and I'm hiring people. So I'm, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it's like establishing a balance and trying to figure out like, okay, so maybe Fridays are the only days I'm going to do invoicing, and then regardless of whatever questions bounce off to you, say I'll get back to you like on this day. Because if I'm just focusing always on like the administrative, it kind of like goes back to like the 9 to 5. It takes the fun out of it, and that's really all I want to be doing.
Sophia, how do you deal with it? Because you're also very into social media.
Yeah, so one of the things I always tell people is that when you're a freelancer or entrepreneur and you own your own business, you're not only focusing on the creative, but you also have to be your own PR, your own marketing, your own accounting, at least when you're small, up until the point where you can financially bring other people on board. I haven't been up to that breaking point yet, but I think it's also important to realize when you do need that extra help and when to reach out for that extra help. But for me personally, I manage my business myself, and I've always been blessed to be kind of left and right brain. I'm horrible at math, but I am very organized. So I have a full schedule every single day. I stick to it minute to minute as much as I can.
We'll get into that in another question.
And like when it comes to invoicing and stuff like that, whenever I send out an invoice, I always add another reminder in my calendar when to follow up with the client. And like I live off of my calendar, so.
Yeah. Speaking of administrative and everything and money, how did you find the capital or raise the capital or save the capital to live off of your own stuff? We'll let Leah go because I think everybody knows Leah's story, but we love to hear about it.
Well, so a couple of years before I started Married to the Mob, I got into an altercation with a New York City police officer who was actually a sergeant. I was one of the lucky ones who, only got, punched and got my teeth knocked out. But so I sued the city. And like I said, I hadn't started, to win a lawsuit, it takes like years to get any money from the city. But so a year into starting Mob, like in 2005, I finally won the money from 2001. So I won like 75 grand. Amazing, right? When I bought like 2 Goyard bags, and then but then I returned one. I returned the duffel. It was so nice. It was so painful to do that. And then I was working. I can't remember where I was working, but I quit that job. Or maybe like half got fired, half quit, something like that. It was like a mutual like breakup kind of thing. And I used the money to A, live off, and then B, keep funding the company. But more to live off of, so I didn't have to, because if you're working, retail and you're trying to do your own line, it's really hard. Like if you're not putting everything into that one thing, it's very hard to keep it going. So that's where I got the capital.
For me, I wasn't punched by a police officer. But I did kind of just like, the lucky thing is for like interior design, and I don't know if it's similar for you, but like graphic design, you don't necessarily need anything to start. You just kind of like have to have a client. You can work from home. Currently, I'm working from home, but I'm like finally moving to a new office like next week, which I'm so happy about. But you don't, thank you. If you have like just like a little bit of money saved up, like when I kind of just like quit my job, I only maybe had like 3 months of rent saved. I'm like, as long as I can pay my rent, my student loan, and like my individual health care for the next like few months, I'll be all right. And then, I started to like gain clients, and they were very small, and I started to take on like as many clients as possible, but still doing like a very good job so that my name became like synonymous with like startups and things like that.
I was gonna say 3 months is very short. People usually do like a 6-month runway.
No, I just wanted to like do it fast, like because I'm sort of impatient. One of my very good friends was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I just have to do it. I just have to try." And so, like, I feel like for me personally, if I don't have that kind of pressure built up that like there's a timeline, or you're gonna like be living somewhere where you don't want to live, or like not have a house, that kind of like pushed me to like do the best that I possibly could. So just to answer your question, I didn't really have any money saved up, but I just kind of like hit the ground running and kind of built from there. Lived very minimally.
You had the contacts and you just did it.
Yeah.
How about you, Sophia? I know that you were at Parsons, and then you like were interning, and all of this, you were like all over the place. So how did you kind of finally say, okay, I'm gonna work and be an independent creative?
I kind of just hit the ground running and just saved. I mean, it wasn't easy because obviously there were moments when I was literally counting quarters, my laundry money, to take the MTA just so I could meet a client. And then I am also extremely prideful, so I didn't really want to ask my parents for help. So I was like eating like Kraft mac and cheese for a really long time. But it was like kind of your typical starving artist phase that I don't regret, and I thought it was really fun, and everyone kind of has to go through it. And when the pressure's there, it only pushes you to hustle harder, you know? And I was confident. I knew what I was walking into, walking away from, not that it was that much money, but I was walking away from security for sure. And I was confident in my abilities, and I just was like, I'm young, let me just see how far I can take this. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll just get a real job again.
As she rolls her eyes. So Danielle, my next question is for you specifically. You've been self-employed for about a year now. And so what's the biggest challenge you've had to overcome, or the biggest lesson that you've learned?
Making sure you value your services. And I feel like it's an issue with women where, you say a price, and then, your client will come back and be like, well, I don't want to pay that. And then you're like, okay, well, then I can give you a discount. But really, you should just be like, okay, you don't want to pay it, so find someone else. And it rarely happens that they're like, okay, I'm going to find someone else. They're just like, they suck their teeth and like, okay, fine. And then they because they know what you do, and they know that
Do you remember the moment, though, when you had to do that? You don't have to name any clients, but just what you were doing, were you behind a computer, were you in person, kind of paint the picture a little bit
it's
for
like
us.
an email exchange where you're just and it was like they were negotiating through a third party, and I knew that if I didn't get this client, I knew that I had to this had to be my best project, because it was really the first one, the biggest one I had done up to that point, and I just didn't want them to go anywhere else. And so it was just this is my fee. And they came back well, we can't afford that fee. Can you do it for this number? And I'm like, I can, but I don't want to. But then I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then kind of from that point, I just realized I'm not gonna do that again. You're worth what you I went to school, I have my master's, I have, I'm skilled, I know what I'm doing, I do it well. And it's okay to just say it and be this is, I know what I'm doing. If you don't want to work with me, then whatever. Find someone else.
Has anyone else on the panel experienced that type of pushback?
I have that trouble a lot of times where I'll put out a number and then I'm like, oh, or I'm scared to put out a certain number that comes to mind, because I don't want them to be like, no, we don't really want to work with you. And I say this every time at my talks, but I don't actually take my own medicine here. But the fact that they even came up to you and reached out to you is because they specifically wanted to work with you, and so they email you and whatever. And so you again should value your own work, and yeah, I lost that train of thought there. It's hard. It's scary, because I'm that happens to me during all my projects, all the time. I'm dealing with it right now. I'm like, why haven't I heard back from this client? Shoot, did I aim too high? And when you're starting out, that's how you kind of grow, obviously financially, but you also have to trust yourself and have confidence again to know when to put that value on your work.
Outside of all this administrative stuff, I'm kind of wanting to move away from that now. I think that is interesting as a creative. You work off of inspiration and also kind of motivation. And so inspiration for some people is hard to grasp. It kind of comes out of nowhere, and it doesn't come when you need it the most. And so how do you stay productive through those moments and still get the job done? How do you find the inspiration and motivation when you need it?
That happens for me, it happens a lot. I mean, not a lot, but it's just when I'm juggling several projects at once, and you don't want to have the same outcome for each project, and you kind of get stuck sometimes. And I know it's not necessarily the best way to go about it, but it's kind of my process. I just don't do anything for a week. I'm just I don't even look at it. I don't think about it. And then I can come back with a fresh perspective, because for me, if I just kind of keep working through it, and then keep doing exercises to kind of re-inspire myself, then I just get even more stuck. So I just literally have to be I'm gonna stop looking at this floor plan, these concepts. I'm just gonna stop for a week, and then I'll come back to it.
I feel my best ideas have always just hit me out of nowhere, not when I'm okay, I need to come up with the next season's collection now. That's not how it works. So I feel when I'm not coming up with awesome ideas, then I'm well, my brain's just resting, because it needs to rest and do its thing, kind of what Danielle was saying. You've just got to be okay with it turning off for a minute. I mean, plus I got to deal with all the other bullshit I was just talking about anyway. So it's like kind of, so it kind of works out.
Does it always just turn on in time for like you to put in the stuff for the next season?
No, no, it doesn't. And then sometimes you make some stupid shit that doesn't sell. I mean, that's honesty. Like, that's what happens sometimes, you know? That's life.
Creative routine. I don't really have a routine. When you're creative, your mind is just running all the time, and I'm like super ADD, and I don't think you can, like, say you're an interior designer, like you wouldn't be inspired only by interior design. You know, you can be inspired by a movie, you can be inspired by a book cover or pair of shoes. You know, there's inspiration everywhere. It's really just about your perception and how you approach like life. You know, like I think everything is inspiring all the time, and also the people you surround yourself with, what Instagram accounts you follow, Snapchat. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
Do you
people.
set up your day in any particular way to make sure like you're not, you know, too focused on one thing and you're, you know, doing everything?
Well,
that you
I
need to
don't
be
wake
doing?
up like, yo, I'm gonna get inspired today. You know, it kind of just happens, and it's just part of a lifestyle. You know, I don't really have a routine. I wake up and I walk my dog and I pick up his poop.
What kind of dog do you have?
Pomeranian. Like, no, I pick up my dog's poop. I'm like, this is how I'm starting my day. I'm picking up warm shit. And this is how I start my day. You know, it's a very humbling experience.
How about Danielle and Leah? Do any of you have routines? And if you don't have a routine per se, like what kind of structure do you have to your day?
And again, I don't know if this is like the best. I'm trying to kind of like modify and help myself kind of grow in a more productive way, but I'm just not, like, I don't have a routine. Like, I literally have no routine. Like, sometimes I'll wake up like at noon. Sometimes I'll wake up like at 7 in the morning, and because like I know what I have to get done and when it needs to get done, so it always gets done. But I don't necessarily, I'm not like, okay, I'm gonna wake up at 8, I'm gonna da-da-da-da-da. Like, I tried that for like 3 days and it was really terrible. So it's like,
No, I'm so glad that you're saying this because you're making so many of us feel less guilty for.
no, I mean, like, I think as long as you get like, as long as you get what you need to get done, like, there's no proper way to like have your day. Like, and I feel like that's the truth with a lot of creative people. We're just not wired that way.
And Leah, you've been running your company now for almost over a decade, so it's probably a little different for you.
Yeah. I mean, I have a routine, and I also have a daughter, so she gets me up at 7 a.m. Sometimes it's not that much fun, but I'm not a routine kind of person. That's for sure. It's almost like I'm forced to have a routine because like I have employees, so I have to like show up at my office, and I have a kid, so like I have to wake up and feed her breakfast and walk her to school. And if I didn't have that, you know, before Mob was like as big as it is now, and before I had my daughter, but I was still running Mob. I would definitely, same thing, like wake up at noon, sometimes wake up at 8. Sometimes, I mean, you know, sometimes I'd be designing at 4 a.m. You know, I don't do that anymore. I'm sleeping at 4 a.m. for sure. But like, I have a routine, you know, like I ice skate on Tuesday mornings. I know that I do that. Like I get her to school at 8 a.m. and then like make sure I'm at the office between 10 and 11, and I stay at the office till 7 p.m. And you know, there's like different. I mean, I have a routine because I'm probably the oldest one out of these three, so it happened.
Not by much, and we can't tell until you say it. Sophia, you once said to succeed in the design market, you need more than just talent. You need hustle. So where does your hustle come from, and how would you describe it?
You know, it's funny because I recently became bi-coastal, so I'm in like spending some time in LA, and I'm like going through this learning about myself and who I am and why I am the way I am. And I think where you're from has so much to, you know, kind of shapes you to be who you are. And I'm born and raised in Queens, New York, and the whole New Yorker mentality, like I feel like I stand out so much in LA because like everyone thinks, like when you're in New York, you think you're the shit. You're like, oh, rep where you from, you know, oh, I'm from this borough, you know, ride or die, blah, blah, blah. And like in LA, they're like, what? I don't get it. And I'm like, no, man, I'm the shit. I'm from New York. What are you talking
They
about?
say, where are you from? You don't say America, the United States, or New York. You say Queens.
Yeah, and
or
that's
Brooklyn,
like automatic,
wherever
like cool points, whatever, like music, fashion, whatever. You're already like cool in all those categories, so you're set. But again, I sound silly, but this is a very typical New Yorker mentality when you're growing up. You're always, you're very prideful, you rep where you're from, you rep your craft, and this like hustler mentality is kind of instilled in who you are when you're going through junior high, you're going through high school, when you're hanging out with the cool kids or not, It's for me personally, growing up, this is just part of who I am. That's it. I'm just wired this way. And definitely as I, went to school, I studied at Parsons School of Design, dealing with international students, learning more about non-New Yorkers and stuff like that. You definitely notice how you stand out in terms of your work mentality, your work ethics, business ethics, how you approach an assignment. Like here in New York, when you're given an assignment, it's EOD. You should treat it like it's due end of the day, even if it's due 2-3, days later. That's my approach always. But then, in LA, it's end of week, whenever you feel like it. And then in Hawaii, it's end of month or end of 6 months, and you notice that difference. And that's when I really started to realize, oh, it's because of where I'm from that I have this approach to everything I do. And this like instant gratification of today's generation, and also the fact that this entire city is wired to having everything right away. Grubhub, Uber, blah, 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 blah.
So that's part of your hustle, is embedded in you.
Yeah, I'm just wired this way.
And you're also very confident. I wanted to talk about that next, because being a creative and being an entrepreneur is not the most stable career choice. And so what gave you the confidence to pursue this, to say, okay, I can do this and make it happen?
Well, I think for me, I'm not, this sounds ridiculous, but I don't really care about money. I care about it because I have to, but I don't care about it. I'm not like, I need to make millions of dollars. Like, if it happens, that's cool. So I feel like that's kind of like a good way to approach like entrepreneurship, because probably within the first 6 months to a year, you're probably going to be like living off of scraps. And I'm okay with that. So, yes, I know I'm confident in what I'm doing. I know that I do it well, and I'm really passionate about it. But I feel like I don't have that pressure of needing to kind of keep up with, what do they say? Keep up with the Jones. The Jones. Yeah, I don't need to do that. So it's and now it just kind of puts me in a position of just kind of being able to focus on my passion and the creative part of it.
Yeah, I don't think it was I don't think I had a choice. That's how I feel. I really didn't have a choice. What else am I gonna do? That's how I feel, kind of. What else am I gonna do? I have to do this, and I care about making millions of dollars. So maybe because I've been doing it for so long. But yeah, I just feel like I didn't have a choice. I also feel like entrepreneurs have, there's a certain personality type, and we're just we kind of just we're not scared. I'm not that scared of failing, if I fail, I'll do something else. I can always move in with my parents or something. I'm not gonna be hungry on the street. You know what I mean? I'll be okay no matter what. Cause I always have been. So I feel like there's just something with entrepreneurs, it's some kind of personality type where it's not really, the confidence is there already. Even on the days where I'm oh my God, what the fuck am I doing? Or whatever, It's just I have no other choice.
Yeah, sure. It's funny when you mentioned I'm not good with authority, because I was talking to a friend of mine, Jeff Staple, who actually is speaking at the AlleyNYC in Midtown tonight. Super random. But I remember he was asking me about work, what would your ideal work environment be? And I was just yeah, I don't know if I'm good with authority. I don't like it when people tell me what to do. Again, going back to the time schedule thing, if I want to take an hour and a half lunch, I'm going to take an hour and a half lunch, because as long as I get my work done, that's fine. But that's the worst attitude to have in a 9 to 5, because you have to work with structure. You can't just la-di-da, do whatever you want. And because I know
about the 9 to 5 life, honestly, was that you had to be there every day at the same time.
Yeah.
Every single day.
And talk to people about your weekend.
Small talk.
Yeah, I can't do that, no. And I don't want to listen to your conversation. I don't care. And I know I've been in that, and I know I can't I just can't live like that. I'm sorry, but that further motivates me to just work super hard so that I can make enough money to just be on my own and not have to be in that environment.
Okay, bear with me, you guys. I want to read something. Are you guys cool with that? Can I read something? So, okay, they say that the worst enemy to creativity is self-doubt. And yeah, we all have confidence, but we all have moments where we kind of doubt ourselves. Maybe we don't vocalize it, maybe we don't say it. But a psychology professor at Ohio State who spent decades focused on this subject said, confidence is the stuff that turns thoughts into action. If the action involves something scary, then what we call courage is also needed. Or if it's difficult, a strong will to persist might also be needed. Anger, intelligence, and creativity can play a role, but confidence is essential because it applies in more situations than these other traits do. It is the factor that turns thoughts into judgments about what we are capable of, and that then transforms those judgments into action. So what elements, this is a question for you guys, what elements contribute to your confidence, and how do you hone in and tap into those abilities when you are experiencing moments of self-doubt?
I actually think all the things that you just everything you no, I'm just kidding. No, that part when you listed out the emotions, like the courage and the anger, and what was it again? Can you read it one more time?
Yeah, sure. Anger, intelligence, and creativity can play a role, but confidence is essential.
I actually think all of those are essential. I think for me personally, those are all driving points. When I'm angry, when I'm feeling intelligent, when I'm feeling courageous, whatever. I think they're all just as important as confidence. I think they all mix together.
Okay, so
when you have moments of self-doubt, how do you tap into your confidence? Because obviously you're confident, you launched your own company, you're working for yourself. You have the confidence, but there's moments where you don't have it in that moment, in the moment when you have to send an email or make a call or give a speech or give a talk. You know, how do you tap into the confidence that you have?
That's an interesting question. How do I do that? Well, I have this, like, I like to, like, kind of wallow in my self-doubt sometimes. I'm just like, oh, I'm so awful, I suck. But then, like, I'll, like, essentially, like, go to my website and be like, all right, you know, I'm doing all right.
Just fool yourself and make yourself feel amazing.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I'm okay. But I mean, I'm not even joking. Like, that's literally what I do sometimes. I'm like, okay, so, like, I'm doing all right. I allow myself to feel like.
Can I be honest? Sometimes I look at my Instagram and I'm like, who is this person? That's not this person sitting here in her pajamas right now with no makeup.
Exactly. No, but it's kind of just like these things that you've done. Like when you do them, you don't necessarily like think about them while you're doing them. Like I've been like on Refinery 29 a bunch of times. I've done like a commercial randomly, and then like you do it, and then like a month later, you're like doing a project. And you're like, this is horrible. This is so stupid. Like, why does anyone hire me? And then you like click back and you look at what you've done and you're like, yeah.
We're laughing because we have water just
These
like.
are really big bottles. They're hard to maneuver.
All right, so I'm winding down my part, so you guys should get your questions ready if you have questions. But my last question is, well, this is not my last question. My last question is going to be for you. But this is the most obvious question that you would think that I would ask, so I saved it towards the end. So Her Agenda, it's a website all about women, and all of you work in industries that are very male-dominated. So what's it like for you as a woman working in an industry that's very male-dominated? How do you navigate it?
I mean, interiors is like, there's like a lot of, there's a lot of women, there's a lot of gay men.
But I feel like at the top, there's a lot of men.
But honestly, I feel like that's the world we live in. Like the world is male dominated, and so I don't want to say like I like to think like a man because like I think like who I am and I'm a woman. I'm very happy with that. But it's just like just in terms of like not being sorry for saying what you think and not being like like I'm so sorry that I thought that, or I'm so sorry that this is my fee, or just like literally not being like, this is what I think, but I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's like a constant thing that women say. They're like, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry. No, not even sorry, not sorry. Just like not sorry.
I like it because I manipulate the guys and flirt with them and kind of get whatever I want from them. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not actually though. Like, it kind of has its benefits, you know, to being like really the only chick or whatever kind of like. We were just talking about this earlier, but like if I need advice, right, from like one of my colleagues that has a brand that's like way bigger than mine, like they're more likely gonna give me all their secrets because I'm like the cute chick being like, hey, oh my God, I totally like, you know, I play dumb a little, whatever. I do, like, you know, I play it up. I'm like, oh my God, I totally am not sure what to do about this. Like, can you help me? Like, oh, I need, you know what? Do you have like Bloomingdale's buyer contact? Like, I really need that so bad. You're the best. Oh my God, yeah, it works. It works. It really does. So I have no problem. But like, I mean, yeah, I can't complain about being in a male-dominated industry. It's not that bad.
It's so funny, because I can't really do any of that. Like, if someone paid me $100 to just, I feel like it's definitely an advantage to be a female for sure in a male-dominated industry. But I can't. I think again, maybe it's a prideful thing, but. I always think you approach people, whether they're male or female, you approach them with your body language, with your tone, with how you speak, with how you dress, and that sends a message as to how you want to be approached, you know? And I guess for me, I mean, there's a lot of things working. You can say this is working for me or working against me. I'm small, I'm an Asian girl, and you know, I guess I'm in like a very male-dominated streetwear, arts, whatever you want to call it. So they could be advantages or disadvantages, but I always like when I meet people, I feel like a lot of times they approach you and look at you as a female first, especially in the industry that I'm in. And it's almost like I have to in some way prove themselves and show them that, hey, no, fall back, first of all, and show some respect, because I respect you. I don't actually know you that well, but it's all about how you express yourself and how you speak. And again, going back to like body language and how you dress kind of shows a lot. I don't know.
Wait, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's really fucked up, but like I've had like a lot more guy mentors than female mentors, and like women just have not been as helpful to me. I don't know if it's because the guys actually want to have sex with me, like, and that's why I don't know. Like, I'm not sure.
That's why.
Well, whatever. Then I mean, it's fucked up because the chicks are not like, I've had girls literally try to throw me under the bus and like ruin business deals that I thought were friends of mine. And like, I haven't had dudes do that to me. I'm not saying I like guys like over girls, like I love my girlfriends. I'm just saying like with business, I have had men be way more helpful to me, and it's because, if it's only because they want to sleep with me, like whatever, like I don't care. It's not like I'm gonna give it up because of that. But if that's why they're helping me, it's fine. But the women have not been helpful. Except you, I love you, obviously. You're a different story. Fuck, no. Sure, but that's by the guys. I'm talking about the industry. Yeah, I don't know what the industry dudes that I think they're my friends, but I don't know what they're saying about me behind my back. But when I call them and I need their help, they will help me because I'll be like, yo, I need this shit right now. And they're like, all right. I don't mean fuck. I don't even pay attention to the fuck boys that are behind the computer. You know what I mean? Like of course, those guys like they like are probably virgins. You know what I mean? So I can only imagine what those guys do. You know, if you're waiting on lines to get T-shirts and sneakers, like we're never going on a date. You know what I mean? Just saying.
And going off of that, you've been running Mob for a little over a decade now, and a lot of your battles have, happened out in the public, getting sued and all that type of stuff. So what is your...
Bring it, bitches!
I was gonna say though, what is your key to longevity? You know, despite all of that, despite people who try to tear you down, you are still here. You're still strong. You're still you. You're still growing. So, what is your key to success?
You have to get back up. You have to just get back up. You get back up and you keep going. And sometimes it fucking sucks, and it sucks to be sued, and it sucks to have all that out in the public. But like, you just gotta keep going.
All right, I'm gonna open it up to audience questions now. Yeah. We're gonna actually have you come up here. We're gonna have you come up here.
My name is Jacqueline DeJesu. I've spoken to a couple of you, but I'm reinventing the shower cap for form and function, so it's high fashion. I know, it sounds crazy, but it's cute as hell. You'll see.
It's awesome.
Thanks. So my question is, I'm a creative director in advertising, and I've been super lucky from like being a junior and kind of having amazing mentors in advertising, and now that I'm in like manufacturing and entrepreneurship, it's so much harder, like you were saying, to find like strong female like women that get it, that understand branding and like are at that level that like I can have that kind of conversation. And aside from like SBA and that bullshit, like, or your own personal network, like, do you have any other tips aside from like the cold emails or the asking of a question for someone that you're super inspired by?
Wait, I'm just gonna.
Finding a mentor, basically, like any sort of other avenues aside the traditional.
Yeah,
ones.
I mean, I don't know. I have a couple girls that own brands that I do. I mean, I don't want to call myself a mentor and give myself that kind of credit, but like I try to help women as much as I can. When they ask, I help them. I mean, sometimes if you're like DMing me on Instagram, like not really, whatever. It's kind of hard for me to respond. Yeah, kind of. But like there are some girls I've come across that if I'm vibing with you and I believe in what you're doing and I think that like my time will actually help you be successful, then like I'll definitely help you because people have helped me along the way. That's how it happens, so you have to give back for sure.
So I guess this might be a little bit more for Leah, but I'm Daniela Kolodesh. I go to Pratt. I'm lucky enough to go to an art school and be able to be creative. What kind of advice would you give to someone who feels like they're gravitating towards a creative field but hasn't necessarily had the education or the connections in that field but is still confident with what they do?
Well, I'm someone that didn't go to college, you know what I mean? So, and if my daughter, and don't take this the wrong way, because if my daughter wants to do something creative, like I'm not paying fucking $60,000 a year to send her to SVA or any of this shit. I'm not. Like, I'll get her an internship somewhere, whatever. But like, I understand not everyone can get that. But I don't think you need, look, there's so many different, avenues to take to be creative without like, going to school. I'm not sure if I'm answering the question right. Maybe.
Well, it's funny because I had this conversation with some of my interns on the ride here. I don't think school's for everyone, that's for sure. There are many benefits to being in school, and there's many benefits to not being in school. One thing I have heard from friends recently is when they're trying to grow in terms of their career and their salary and all that stuff, having a degree does help. And not only does it help, but it actually can hinder you when you don't have a degree, A. And B, there are plenty of resources out there, honey. Like, you don't have to get like a full-on education and feel like art school is the only answer. But if you are in art school, it's definitely very important to make the most out of your resources. A lot of times doing internships are great because you figure out what you like and don't like. It's like dating, you date guys and you realize this person's horrible. I hate all these qualities, but I also like all of these qualities. And you can take it with you on your next relationship and so forth. But it's most important to just not stay static and keep exploring, put yourself out there, absorb, give back, and retain. Yeah.
I'm going to go to her right here because she's actually a contest winner from Married to the Mob.
Yay!
Oh, she's like full on.
Of course. This is obviously for Leah, but ever since I've discovered your company and everything like that, I've been obviously obsessed with it and a huge fan. I know, I'm a child. My name is Victoria. I go to AMDA. It's an acting school, but fashion is my second love.
So cool.
But I just wanted to know, like, what do you see for Married to the Mob in the future? And obviously, it's like booming and it's like amazing as it is. I mean, come on, Rihanna was wearing the socks that I spilled the other day. Like, you know. Listen. I trust me. I'm always like, yeah, you guys gotta try it. Like, look, you know, it's really cool. And they're like, that says bitch. I'm like, so what?
Well, first of all, thank you for supporting. I really appreciate it. And the future of Mob, you know, I'm not a future person. I like staying in the moment. I hope, you know, it's hard for me. You know what? If someone told me 11 years ago, like, hey, in 11 years, like, you know, you're gonna be running like a pretty decent sized company and you're going to be in this store and that store and whatever, I probably wouldn't have really believed them. So I can only imagine what's going to happen in the next 10 years, you know. I mean, I really can't imagine myself doing it that much longer, but wow. But who knows, you know. I mean, definitely we're growing, you know. My plan is to be mass. I mean, that is, and some people are upset about it sometimes, and, you know, but I want Mob to be, you know, like the Juicy of the East Coast. That's it.
We have time for one more question.
One of the guys, we have an old gentleman. Come on.
I thought the guy who Martini was going to come up.
Yes, we come together.
All right, so this is directed towards all of you. Basically, I have two passions in my life. I cook and I design. And basically, cooking is what makes me my money. And it's very demanding. And I also am trying to start a streetwear clothing accessory brand. It's called O&U. And basically, I just feel like I don't have a lot of time to basically put in the work that I'd like to. I've started it 2 years ago. And if you guys have any suggestions of how I could focus more on that part, because I feel like I am artistically inclined in both, but I'd like to basically push that further. And I've actually just came to the city 5 days ago to pursue both and try to take it further. So basically, you know, this is like my first big step.
First of all, applause.
Just a quick tip. The startup I designed called Kitchen Surfing takes on chefs, and they can essentially devise their own schedule and cook for people at home to kind of build their own like portfolio of like cooking. And I feel like having a job that's kind of allowing you to have your own schedule is really important if you want to build both brands. So Kitchen Surfing, check it out. I think it would make the most sense for you.
Okay.
I think if your heart's in something, you'll make time for it. It's harsh, but true. I don't know. That's all I have to
I just
say.
feel like for me, it's like it's so demanding being in the kitchen that it's just like I want to sit down and design, but I feel so exhausted. So.
Have you ever read Anthony Bourdain's book, No Reservation?
Yeah. Well, I've read Kitchen Confidential.
I mean, oh yeah, that's what I meant, right? Kitchen Confidential. I feel like being a chef in New York is a lot of fun, and you like party a lot and probably like get a lot of chicks and stuff. So I mean, I'm not saying not to do the streetwear thing because that's great too, but like being a chef in New York is probably such an awesome experience. If you just got here 5 days ago, you should like experience that as well.
Right.
I'm just thinking about Anthony Bourdain's book. Sorry. Hope that was helpful. Yeah.
All right, before we close out, I want to take a moment to let you guys know after we end the panel, you don't have to run out right away. We actually, thanks to AssataBakes, she provided the food. I don't know if any of you tried it, if you liked it.
Awesome.
If you did like it, she's selling some items that you might want to take home, so make sure you stop by. And also, I had an amazing girl, raise your hand, create these cards that say no one ever slows her agenda on it. And so if you think that you embody the motto, you need to check her out. And also, you can order you can order your own cards that say no one ever slows her agenda. And also, I want to announce the contest winner. Victoria Pickens, are you here? And Liz, can you come up here too with the bag? You're the winner of the Dagne Dover bag, and you also get your own pack of No One Ever Slows Her Agenda cards. So thank you so much for coming and participating. Congratulations. Yes, everything is in there. So thank you. And also thank you to each of you for being here. Let's give our panelists a round of applause.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you all for coming. If you have any other questions or anything, I mean, you got a million emails from me, so you know how to get in touch with me. And I hope that you guys had an awesome time and that you're inspired.